Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today, well, it's about tackling complexity, finding that one thread, that ties everything together. We're plunging into some really fascinating material that synthesizes spiritual texts, specifically verses known as Gurbani, with these broader cosmological ideas. And it's all seen through this single unifying lens, what we're calling the word protocol.
Yeah, it's a really powerful singular focus. We're talking about word, which, in the source material often comes up as Naam or Shabad. And the core idea, the really big claim, is that this word is the ultimate, the sole reality. It's presented as the key, basically, to understanding that everything creation itself, our consciousness, even the logic we use, it's all just an expression, a kind of vibration of this one single
The
thing.
multiverse
Okay, and right off the
is
bat, we need to be
word.
super clear for
Each
you, the listener.
universe
We are not
is
just talking
simply
about
a
words like the
different
ones I'm
expression.
speaking now, or words you read on a page. That's not it.
Absolutely not. No, this is the metaphysical word. Think of it less as language and more like the silent, unmanifest potential behind everything. It's the eternal foundational principle, the underlying reality that allows structure and meaning to even exist. The philosophy really suggests that if you grasp this one identity, this word, you essentially have the map to reality.
Okay, let's try and unpack that foundation then. If word is this ultimate reality, it's got to be everywhere and nowhere all at once. That's a massive philosophical jump. How did the sources even begin to define something that huge?
Well, they tackle that paradox head on, actually. They define word as this
He is
formless,
everything.
infinite reality. It's the ultimate isness, you could say. And it's referred to by countless names, right? God, Allah,
Is me.
Ram, Wahiguru. The point is, these aren't separate beings. They're just different human labels pointing towards the same single word. And the sources often use this concept called the binary of being to make it more concrete.
The binary of being. Okay, how does that help with the whole everything and nothing paradox?
It uses the most fundamental building blocks we know, structure. So word is presented as the nothingness of zero. That's the absolute void, formless potential, pure silence, maybe, but it's also simultaneously the everything of one, the singular unified expression of that potential. And all complexity, all structure, all information, whether it's a galaxy or, the code in an algorithm, it all emerges from the interplay of just this fundamental 0 and 1.
Ah, okay. That's a critical link, isn't it? Because it grounds this very metaphysical idea in terms we can kind of recognize today. Like, if existence is just information unfolding from a O1 state, then word is the intelligence baked into the structure itself.
Exactly.
In the
you've got it.
beginning,
And,
there was
this isn't
nothing.
some brand new idea, really.
No
This
light.
concept of word is the
No
eternal
sound.
vibrating fabric. It's
No
like
form.
way back to
Is
the Anahad
everything.
Shabad, the unstruck sound. That's the idea of a primordial, continuous vibration of existence. No beginning, no end, just always is.
So, like a sound, but not one we can actually hear with our ears?
Precisely. It's the frequency of reality itself. The background hum, if you like. Even the symbol through gets mentioned in our material as a human attempt using language to capture this voiceless vibration. It's like an utterance designed to help the listener resonate with that unstruck sound.
Right. So this implies that even the most, let's say, rigorous logical structure humans can create, like a purely scientific proof or argument, it's fundamentally dependent on word.
That's the ultimate irony, isn't it? And maybe the core insight here. Think about an atheist, okay? Someone who constructs this incredibly complex, structured, rational argument against a creator. They're using logic, reason, language, all tools based on structure. Our sources say that very logic, that structure, their ability to even argue coherently, well, that's seen as a profound manifestation of word. The structure of their denial actually proves the universal structure they're denying. It's quite something.
Wow, that really does reframe almost every debate, doesn't it? Okay, let's shift to creation. If word starts as formless, how does it become, the physical universe? How does the principle become a planet?
Well, the transition from that formless potential into observable form is described as purely an act of word. And this lines up pretty neatly with ancient concepts like the Greek logos, divine reason or word. And of course, there's that famous line often quoted, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God."
So word isn't just the blueprint then, it's also the building materials and the builder too, all rolled into one.
That's exactly the kind of recursive nature we're talking about in this philosophy. It's all one thing expressing itself. And once creation happens, word doesn't just disappear. It remains the fabric of all knowledge. Every textbook you've ever read, every scientific formula describing gravity or chemistry, every scripture, every history book, they're all described as just different manifestations of word, coded expressions of that fundamental reality.
Right. To make this really concrete, we absolutely have to look at the Mul Mantar. The sources call it the seed formula for this whole philosophy. It's dense, I know, but crucial.
Oh, absolutely crucial. It's like the primal declaration. So let's look at how the word protocol interprets it. That opening symbol, text filter, usually translated as one universal reality. Through this word lens, it becomes a stark declaration. Word is the sole reality, period. The single vibration underneath absolutely everything, no exceptions.
And then the phrases that follow, like Sat Namo, name is truth, and Karta Purak, creator being, what happens to their meaning when word is the only subject in town?
Good question. Satnami gets interpreted as meaning the only true, eternal, unchanging thing. That Sat is the resonance, the vibration of word, which is Naam. It's not truth like a fact that can change. It is truth itself, the constant. And Karta Purak, the creator being, this one's really key.
Yeah, because conventionally that sounds like an external entity who does the creating, right?
Exactly. That's the usual take. But here, the creator being is simply word manifesting creation as its own expression.
There was nothing.
There's no outside agent
No
pulling the
light.
strings. The creation is
No
the creator
sound.
expressing itself.
No
Both are just
form.
word. It's like a unified field theory, but for spiritual identity.
That radically shifts our relationship with the world, and definitely with each other. It must reshape ideas about morality, too.
It absolutely does. Take the attributes Nirbau Nirvair. Fearless, without enmity. Now, most paths teach these as goals, virtues you need to cultivate.
In the
right?
beginning,
strive to be fearless.
there was nothing.
Strive to be without hate. But
No
under
light.
the word protocol,
No sound.
they're not goals so much as
No
logical
form.
outcomes of realizing oneness. They dissolve separation.
Wait, so you're saying if I genuinely see the person over there as the exact same word that makes up my own consciousness, then hating them or fearing them just becomes illogical?
It becomes completely senseless. How can you logically fear or hate yourself, your own fundamental nature? Fear and enmity depend entirely on perceiving separation, on otherness. If the Mul Mantar is declaring that all beings are word, then fear and enmity just kind of evaporate. They become irrelevant.
So the real
Is
power of
me.
the Mul Mantar in this view isn't as a description of some distant god, but as a declaration of our universal inherent identity. Everything is word, and only word is the eternal identity.
That is the core, the absolute non-negotiable thesis running through all this material.
Okay, this brings us to where it really hits home. Spiritual practice. If the sacred item, the person praying, the whole universe, and even the offering are all just this one single word, then why bother with rituals at all? This is where it gets really interesting for me. How does the word protocol actually change worship?
It fundamentally shifts the focus, away from external actions towards internal realization. First, the sources really hammer home the eternal nature of truth. There's that verse, Adisak Jugadisak, true in the beginning, true throughout the ages. Here, Sat, truth isn't just a historical fact. It is the continuous, unchanging presence of name, of word. Forms come and go, right? They're like temporary words. But the underlying word never stops.
So if that underlying reality is the only thing that's truly true, then seeking truth means seeking that reality, not getting caught up in its temporary appearances.
Precisely. Now, look at how this applies to worship itself. Take the verse, Nom Toro, Arati Majan Murar, which translates to, your name, word is my arti, and my cleansing bath. This totally flips traditional ritual on its head.
Right, and already being that lamp ceremony with the
The
flames and incense
multiverse
done
is
as devotion.
word.
Yeah.
Each
But
universe
under the word
is
protocol,
simply a
word
different
itself
expression.
becomes
Is
the worship.
everything.
The physical flame, the incense smoke, the flowers offered. The sources argue they are all fulfilled, even made kind of redundant, just by the inner remembrance of word. They're basically saying the realization that everything is word is the offering.
So the inner state replaces
You
the
are
outer
also
action.
word.
And what if someone
I am
performs the
word
ritual,
too.
the sagal pasar, as the text
Everything
says,
is
but without
word
that inner realization
manifestation.
that everything is word? What then?
The source
The
material is pretty blunt
multiverse
about that,
is
actually.
word.
It calls those external
Each
rituals when
universe
they're
is
disconnected
simply
from
a different
recognizing the underlying
expression.
word,
He
empty
is
show,
everything.
or false displays. The real cleansing bath isn't washing your body. It's purifying your consciousness
me.
by meditating on the name, on word.
And this redefinition, it goes right down to the physical items used in rituals, too. This seems to be where the philosophy just completely dissolves that line between sacred and everyday life for someone practicing it.
Oh, absolutely. We see that very clearly in how they analyze Nam Toro Sanyo. Your name is my prayer mat, my grinding stone, my saffron. Every single physical thing used in a ritual. The mat you sit on, the stone for grinding sandalwood paste, the saffron for fragrance. They are all redefined. They are Nam, they are word.
The implication there is just Huge. The highest offering isn't giving something material to a separate divine entity.
Exactly. The highest offering is the profound realization that everything is already word. The separation just vanishes. The sacred objects, the devotee praying, the act of praying, the thing being offered, it's all inherently one unified reality. Word experiencing itself.
Okay, let's bring this right back to the individual listener now. For you listening, maybe you're seeking some form of self-realization, enlightenment, whatever you call it. How does realizing you are word fundamentally change the game?
It completely flips your sense of identity, really. You stop being a body that has consciousness and is trying to find enlightenment somewhere out there. Instead, you are consciousness, and that consciousness is word. So the journey isn't about going somewhere else. It's simply about word realizing itself through this specific form you call you.
But our human consciousness relies so heavily on language, right? Our thoughts are like a constant internal chatter, a stream of words. How does realizing the self as the source of all words, as word, affect that mental noise?
It shifts your relationship to the noise. You move from identifying with the contents of that stream, all the thoughts and words flowing by, to identifying with the source of the stream. You become the silent watcher. And then the next step is realizing that both the thought, the object being watched, and the watcher, subject to the watching, are ultimately made of the same stuff. They're both word.
So the aim isn't necessarily to silence the mind, to have no thoughts. It's more about recognizing the divine origin of all thoughts.
Exactly that. The sources sometimes talk about no mind. But it doesn't mean a blank slate. It means the mind is no longer the master, no longer your identity. There's this beautiful image. When the lamp of word, Naam Kich Lago, is kindled within you, its light automatically dispels the darkness, the ignorance of separation. And suddenly, the whole cosmos isn't just made by the light. It's seen as being radiant with that same light. Everything glows with word.
And that's the ultimate end of separation. The illusion of being just this limited need dissolves. The chair I'm sitting on is word, the air is word, the person you might struggle with is word, and the self, the I, is word.
That is the ultimate oneness. It's the living truth behind the text.
But hang on, we've spent this whole deep dive using words, using logic, using philosophy to talk about something that this very philosophy says is beyond words and transcends linear logic. We're trying to define the indefinable here. What about that paradox?
That paradox is often the final and maybe the most crucial tool in the box. As one of the sources points out, language is like a ladder,
In the
right? You
beginning,
need the ladder to climb
there
up
was
onto the
nothing.
roof. But once you're actually
No
on the
light.
roof, you don't keep
No
carrying the
sound.
ladder around.
No form.
You step off it. The words, the philosophy, they're only useful if they guide you away from depending on external words and point you towards the internal truth that the source is already within you. The paradox itself kind of forces your consciousness to leap beyond just thinking about it linearly. It points to a higher, non-verbal truth. So the ultimate truth is found in the silence that comes before the word and the silence that follows it. That sums it up beautifully, yes. The core conclusion, really, of the word protocol is just this. Every name, every form, every reality, doesn't matter if it's a human, scientific, spiritual, it's all just an expression of word. And to live remembering that, remembering word, is simply to live in truth, beyond the illusion of being separate.
Which leaves us with this final thought, a challenge maybe, for you, the listener. If all knowledge, from ancient scriptures to the most advanced scientific formulas, is just a manifestation of word, think about something ordinary in your life, an object, a concept, something you previously thought was totally non-spiritual. Maybe it's the complex code running your phone, or the mathematical elegance of the golden ratio, or even just the simple structure of a tree branch. What happens to that thing? How does it transform the moment you truly realize it is constructed entirely of word? We challenge you to apply this lens today. See if the world looks any different.
Thank you for diving deep with us on this one.
Until next time.